We're going to go over a few best practices when scheduling your film, short film, or any film in this video, and then I will do a separate video on using Studio Binder to schedule. Like so many things in film, you just have to follow the process and not neglect any of it. First, lock your script. Read it several times. Make sure you understand all the different elements in the script. If there are issues to catch them, and then fix it to lock your script again, and really try to stick with that script. Then you tag and break down the elements. So you highlight them, underline them, tag them in script software, and break them down. That's going to help you see how long things will really take and how complicated things really are. It'll also help you see what actors are in each scene, what cars, what locations, all of those details that you need to know to schedule. Then you will put it into strips and put it in a strip board, arrange the shooting order, and we'll go over that whole process a lot more. Estimate your time per scene. Then you add your setup, teardown, transportation, and meal breaks. Then look at how much time each of those things are. Then you add your end of day banners. Then sometimes, frequently, you realize, wait a minute, this is an impossible shooting schedule. Something needs to change. And then you loop back around and you fix the problems and do it again. Now, a couple rules when you get into scheduling. Every 6 hours, you have to feed your cast and crew a meal. That is a real meal, not crafty, not granola bars. It should be a hot meal, a nutritious meal. Now, that's 6 hours from call time or the time that they had to leave to get to set if you have people from out of town or if you're traveling for set. It's not at normal meal times necessarily, and the first meal is always called lunch, but you usually wait the full 6 hours because you have 12 hours from your start time before you would have to feed people again. And your maximum shoot time is usually 12 hours. That way you avoid having to feed people 2 meals. It takes away shooting time and it costs money. So it doesn't matter if your call time is 8 a.m. or 1 p.m. or 10 p.m., your first meal is usually 6 hours after call. Because if you go over, you're going to have to stop, feed people, and then pay them even more to be there longer. So how long can you shoot? 12 hours. Most indie films can go 12 hours. Student shoots, 12 hours is really the line. Union shoots, most of them are 10 hours. You'll hire people on either an 8, 10, or 12-hour day. But in our world of independent filmmaking and student shoots, 12 is pretty standard. You really cannot go past those 12 hours. If you're paying people, that's when you start getting into overtime, and it's when you have to feed people again, and it is when things start getting dangerous. Now, every 6 hours when you feed people, it's a 30-minute minimum meal break. Now, I always plan on 45 minutes at least for scheduling because that meal break doesn't start from the second you call lunch. It starts from the time the last person made it through the meal line and sat down. So if you have a buffet line, that can take a long time. It's why box lunches are often a lot faster or individual plates because then it's everybody eats right at the same time. But when the AD is trying to rush people to get food, it's not just because they're nice and want people to eat. It's also because they can't start the meal time limit, start the meal timer until everybody's sitting and eating. Make sure if there are labor laws, you follow them. This is especially with minors. In the state of Virginia, there is not a maximum amount of time children can be shooting. However, you must show that you can make sure their educational requirements are met, and you have to have a theatrical work permit. These are free things, but you just have to do them. And we will go over those when we talk about release forms. But even if there are not those hard limits, you don't want young children on set too long. It's not good for them, and it's not good for your set. Now, 12-hour turnaround is the time before you can call people again. From the time you call wrap and send people home, or from the time they get to their hotel room, if you have people in from out of town, you have to give people 12 hours before the next call time. So that's important for people to get rest. And honestly, there are people above the line who are still working, directors reviewing dailies, people like that working, but your regular crew, it's a 12-hour turnaround. Now, it's also 12-hour minimum time that you must send a call sheet in advance of call. So you have to be able to give people that 12 hours to rest, basically, before they're back on set. That's part of the reason why we usually schedule shoots earlier and then they go later and later through the shoot. So you start with an 8 a.m. call time, and then your next day, you don't plan on a call time any earlier than 8 a.m. So even if you didn't have a full 12-hour day and you wrapped early, you know that your plan should still follow through. Now, if you start on, say, a 10 a.m. call time and the next day is 8 a.m., it's going to limit how long you can shoot because you need to be able to give people turnaround. This is really important, and I will make sure on your shoots that your times match, that you have a 12-hour turnaround and you guys don't go past 12 hours of shooting. It really gets dangerous. All right, so when you get into your strip board, every single scene gets a strip. Some scenes might end up with 2 strips if you have to shoot them on 2 days, but every scene for the day gets a strip. Each location move, meal break, whatever, gets a strip as a banner so that you can see, okay, this is when we're eating, this is when we're moving. Then the end of day banners will tell what happens before in the day. So it's not the start of the day, it's the end of the day. Once you get your schedule into strips, you'll organize it for efficiency and shooting. And there are a couple different processes to think about that. I really enjoy scheduling. It's a bit of a Jenga to me that I just think is a blast. So, couple general tips. Indie films typically shoot 3 to 5 pages a day, but that is pretty ambitious for students. I really recommend you guys try to do like 2 to 3 a day. A lot of it just depends on your breakdown. What's in the script? How complicated is the scene? Think about those real needs and time estimates when you schedule. Some scenes need multiple days. Other scenes need, an hour. Then think about your hard limits. Do you have an actor who's only available 1 day? Do you have a location that's only available 1 day or another? Is someone's hair going to change, like shaving somebody's face? Most student films do not have a proper budget for hair and makeup, so you might have someone who needs to appear older, and they have scruffy face, right, in part of your shoot, and then they need to be younger. They're going to shave and then shoot those scenes. So think about those. Are there different times of day that your script has? That's a concern. After your hard limits, though, you usually would group together locations first to minimize company moves because those eat up time, and then shoot your day first and night last, and generally exteriors then interiors. It's just easier on setup and production design usually, and it gives you more time to light inside at a location. And if you just plan on your exteriors at the beginning of a shoot and interiors later, if there is a problem with weather, you're not out of time. And also don't put your hardest stuff first. Give your crew a little bit of time, and your cast. Don't give them a deep emotional scene. So those are a few tips as you start scheduling. In the next video, I'll show you some on Studio Binder.